I'm Nick with NP Environmental, and we chose the Bruce Thompson project for our case study today. Let me tell you a little bit about NP Environmental, a little bit about our company. This picture here, I'm actually standing with one of our local politicians here in Oneida County, persuading him to promote our technologies here locally. And actually a company we do quite a bit of business with. We're standing in front of the owner's house. He did the conversion to a ground source heat pump a few years ago. But we're a company. We started back in 2004. We specialize in ground source heat pumps, air source heat pumps, anything to do with HVAC technology for a building, manufacturing, whatever it may be. That's what we do. We design and build the systems. We can do residential, commercial, industrial. And the reason I list heat pumps from day one here is because way back when we did start the company in the beginning, when heat pumps didn't have the notoriety that they do today, which is still on a small scale, we believed in heat pump technology. And when you look at numbers like 400% efficiency, it seems impossible, because when you think of fossil fuel based systems, any type of combustion process, there's going to be waste. So with that waste, your efficiency is going to be below 100%, because a portion of that is going right up the chimney. With a ground source heat pump, when you contribute the earth factor with electric technology and a heat pump, you combine the two, and that's how you achieve that higher efficiency. When it comes to HeatSmart programs, we actually, years ago when this program started, we were delighted to hear about it. And we came to know about the program through a project we did in Ithaca before the inception of HeatSmart. And one of the customers that we did work for, David Quinn Jacobs down there, it was a project that, I think there's some information on some earlier webinars, but he had referred us to a guy by the name of Mark Whitmer, a local to Ithaca, and they had, introduced us to the program. And we were excited about it because we knew that heat pumps required a level of education, a level of familiarity that we're just starting to see today. So with the inception of the HeatSmart programs, and individuals like Jonathan, individuals like Lisa, you have Bennett on here, Lindsay Spear from CNY HeatSmart. These programs really help to bring that home and to bring that information out there. And as you'll see today in this case study, we're excited about these opportunities because it gives us a chance to talk about the real world life of these systems, so you can tangibly see get your hands on something that that seems like 400% can't be achieved, and we will show you how it can. Sets us apart, people. You look at the individuals within our company. You look at people. You look at the influence that Jonathan has in Tompkins County, Bennett has in Otsego County. People make the difference, and it's funny. I have conversations with individuals all the time about, geez, why isn't heat pump technology catching on quicker? Why aren't heat pumps being used everywhere? And it's just a matter of people, individuals taking that leadership role to say, hey, here's a better way. And when I look at it, the viewpoint that I see it from, it's challenging for me to see it otherwise, because you look at a product that works so well, it lasts so long, it has so many benefits. It'll be here as long as the sun's shining and this earth is here. This technology will be here. And as a company, we are firm believers in utilizing the resources available to you. And every region across the world has different resources that they can use, but utilize those resources sustainably. That's important to us. And the passion, the reason I put passion at the bottom is one of the requirements when we bring individuals into our company. And the thing that I look at the most is the passion for the industry. Because if you love your job and you have a passion for what you do, it really comes naturally. And that's one of the things that we look at here at NP. And when we get to offer a product like heat pump technology. It's so great. I mean, it's hard to express how good it is to be in this industry, because you have a product that benefits the consumer, it benefits society as a whole, it benefits the team here at NP. The benefits are just across the board. It's really, really pretty simple. So heat pumps are for everyone. And I'm a firm believer in this. Every time I have an application come about that, that could be applicable to heat pumps, I say, yeah, that's right. And I put this number up here, 35 to 135 degrees. And, Lisa asked me the question, Nick, what is that? Well, 35 degrees for the cooling side for heat pumps, we can produce temperatures way down to 35 degrees. And you can use that for industrial applications for cooling the press that you see in the lower right-hand corner here. And then you have temperatures that go way up to 135 degrees. If you look at your current boiler system today, you're operating at 160 to 180. You don't really need to operate at that high of a temperature to achieve 70 degrees of heating comfort, the temperature within your home. You just don't need numbers that high. And if distributions are designed properly, installed properly, and there's a thought process that comes about for these systems, you'll be comfortable and you can operate at a much lower temperature, reducing your waste, and you don't need that. But this range is what heat pumps can be applicable to, from small homes, modular homes, small homes, even homes down to micro homes. You can look at older homes, like you see the home in the middle here. We have a lot of homes, older vintage, great application for ground source heat pumps. On the commercial side, a project that we did in Hamilton, New York, their municipal garage, they were burning thousands of gallons of oil. It was, I couldn't believe it. And they had a resource right to the right-hand side of that building with a well that produces just tons of water, hundreds of gallons a minute of water. So we said, geez, why not utilize that resource and hook it to a ground source heat pump? And we expected to heat half the building, and we're heating the whole building, because what they have in front is a shop for working on their equipment, and back is storage. But these pieces of equipment are coming in with snow, so they have to melt the snow and work on this equipment. We have the resource available to us. We used it. And then you look at new construction applications. New construction applications are a good opportunity to where the heat pump specialist, the engineer, can come in and design the distribution system right around the ground source heat pump or the air source heat pump system. So when I say heat pumps are for everyone, I really truly mean that heat pumps are for everyone. And if you fit in that temperature range, you're in the sweet spot. So the case study why I chose the Thompson family home, their family has lived in Ithaca for 43 years. Bruce, a physics professor, Ithaca College, his wife, Katie, a psychotherapist, and Bruce was, heavily involved in the technology, and his wife was, there was a lot of nuances with this project, because as you can see, the home, beautiful home, this is a larger home, and the two of them were part of the construction of this complete home. And when you walk in, you look at the woodworking, you look at the different finishes within the home, they had specific criterion that they wanted to meet with their system. And this project, which was cool because Bruce, being a physics professor, he could understand the technology behind the refrigeration cycle and what refrigerants can do and how heat pumps operate. So he was heavily involved in the whole process, and it was a cool project working back and forth with him, because he was so interested and he really just had a passion for what was going on, and he could clearly see what the advantages were from a ground source heat pump. So the main reason he made the change is they had a wood-fired boiler, but they had a propane boiler as a backup supplemental, and the wood boiler was at the end of its life cycle, the propane boiler at the end of his life cycle, and they wanted something that was super efficient, eco-friendly, but they also wanted cooling too. And at the time that Bruce had his radiant installed in his home, they had used an older technology tubing that could have the potential for failure. So we had recommended a system to Bruce that would provide cooling, but also could do heating if ever there were the case that the older technology radiant did have a failure. But ultimately, he needed a replacement. So if he were to invest in a new wood boiler or a new propane boiler and then put cooling in, he was looking at all of those additional costs. Well, you can do it with just one system. That's why he chose the ground source heat pump. So ground source heat pump can be connected to some different types of loop fields. As you can see to the right-hand side here, this is a vertical loop. You don't really see much because you have two bores here, and piping connects in and comes into the home. For Bruce's home, he had quite a few acres on his property, but a lot of it was finished landscape and rock was super close to surface. So for us, this goes back to that utilizing the resources that are available to you. He had a pretty large system. It was a 10-ton system, big home, a lot of stuff going on. So we chose the vertical loop route. We recommended that to him because we did have rock close to surface. Rock performs great. It's easy to drill in rock. So for this application, it worked out well. And then an alternative configuration, if, as you can see, if you look at the picture with the horizontal loop, it's a slinky loop you're looking at underground, and you can see that earth is easily excavated. So for that project, it was a horizontal loop that was the best fit. But these are two configurations. Also the open loop that we talked about for the Town of Hamilton project. And then you can also do a pond loop where you're submerging a loop into a pond. But we wanted to show a couple of examples in thinking about the resources that you have available to you, because every piece of property is different. The geology is different from location to location, and the vertical loop is what made the most sense for the Thompson project. The equipment. Why show a picture of Bruce standing here with his hand on this unit here? It's called a ductless fan coil unit. And we get a lot of questions around these fan coil units and how you would do cooling with a hydronic system. And this unit on the wall here, as you can see, it's a pretty attractive unit. It's not significantly invasive, but also it met the needs for Bruce and his wife, because they had a certain level of aesthetics that they wanted to reach within their home, and they weren't looking for too much intrusion, but they also wanted the advantages of cooling. We actually, in the beginning, looked at putting duct distribution throughout his home, but the way that his home was designed and the basement portion was finished, it really didn't make sense to put ductwork in his home. It would have been just too much of a challenge. So we opted to go with the Myson fan coil unit here that you see. It's a wall-mounted unit, can provide heating and cooling, but also the advantage for Bruce, if there were any failures in his radiant from that old tubing installation, he would still have heating as a backup. And these units are great because you can provide you with, still have the radiant heat. You can have the air for heating, which heats up much quicker. And then you can also have the advantage of cooling in the summertime. These are zoned per each individual room. You have these located throughout his house. So with the system, it's a Bruce gets. He gets a quiet system, it's a versatile system, very efficient system. And at the bottom, as you can see, his existing distribution did require some upgrades in order for us to retrofit to his house. So a lot of homes that we walk into, there are distribution upgrades that have to be made to fit with the ground source heat pump system. However, in some cases where you saw the smaller home in the beginning there, they had adequate distribution in place. Everything was there. So they could directly go over to a ground source heat pump, no distribution upgrades. They get heating and cooling and everything is done. So when you look at the different applications for ground source heat pump, the versatility of the system is just tremendous. And for Bruce, he needed the ultimate in versatility because of the nature of his distribution system and what his demands were. So the results. So this is a larger home with a total cost, you're looking at $105,000. When you look at that number, you say, geez, that's a huge number. You're looking at a lot of cost here. But this goes back to the fact that ground source heat pumps, air source heat pumps alone are a fit for every application. And it depends on that application and what your expectations are for the system and what you want to do that will bring that to life for you. And if you look at the other end of the spectrum, you can have systems all the way down to $15,000, $25,000. But if you look at the incentives for a project like this, you're looking at a total incentive of $42,000, and that includes the federal tax credit. So at this time was 30%, and then it includes the rebate, which is right around $14,000. And then if you look at his operational cost savings, and this is comparing to propane, at the time we did this analysis was $2.35 a gallon. He was actually spending in the neighborhood of $3 to $3.50. Your annual operational cost savings is $5,000. And this is on a system that's going to last. The ground loop is there forever. The interior components are going to give you 25 to 30 years of life. And when you think of an investment like that, I look at that number and I see that and I say, that's about the price of a car. And when you look at a car, you pull that thing off the lot, you put the money down, and immediately it declines in value. But if you look at an investment into your home, which your home, your building, anything that's going to be there for a period of longer than 15 to 20 years, which you'd be hard pressed to get 15 to 20 years out of a car, that's going to be your most significant investment in your life. So when you look at heat pump technology and you think long term, it's a different way of thinking, but it's a resource that's always going to be there. As long as the sun's shining, the earth is still here, and the earth is that big solar collector, it's going to be there forever. So when you invest in technology, heat pump technology, you're investing in a forever technology. And we've done replacements of heat pumps for individuals that have been 30, 40 years. We use the same ground loop. We put a heat pump in. And we did calculations for an average home, 2,000 square foot home. They're saving $60,000 over that life cycle. $60,000, that's a tremendous amount of money. Imagine what you could be doing with that amount of money. So for this specific application, when you factor in the replacement of a conventional system at $20,000, that's because he would have to upgrade his boiler and put cooling in place. You get an 8.5-year payback period. But when you think of payback period, any conventional system has no payback period. It just doesn't exist. With this type of technology, there is a payback period. There is that benefit, and there's that long-term benefit. So you get worry-free reliability, great comfort, and you're getting emissions reduction, carbon reduction. The advantages are just through and through across the board. So today's offer, now the incentives have changed. It's gone over to the utilities. Your total incentives are $38,000. Your federal tax credit's a little bit less. The program offered through the utilities, depending upon which application, equals out to be close to the same. You still have those operational cost savings. And then I list the home value increase here of $40,000. That's a question I get a lot. Well, geez, Nick, how do you calculate a $40,000 increase in the home value? When you look at the savings, you look at the total value of a system and you look at it over the life cycle, there's a study out there, and I'd love to share it with anybody. Unfortunately, I don't have time today, that backs up that number and how you would calculate that. So in today's incentive market, you're looking at a 9-year payback period. But the other thing that we have today that we didn't have a couple years ago at the time of Bruce Thompson's system is new low interest financing options. The access to money is low right now. And NYSERDA is offering some good low interest financing options that are great to invest in this technology that's going to be saving you money year on year. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Nick, what a great presentation. It's pretty cool to see how a hydronic system, some people think you can't put in heat pumps if you have a hydronic system, but that's not true at all, as you could see. And you can still figure out how to get air conditioning as well. So I think it's pretty exciting for those homeowners at that beautiful house. Now they have radiant heat under the floor, but they also have air conditioning, which is super great. So NP Environmental is one of our 4 competitively selected partners, installers. On the heat pump side, we have NP and Daily Geothermal. And on the home installation and air sealing plus heat pumps, we have Halco and Snug Planet. You can find the case studies done by the other 3 installers on our website now if you missed those and like to take a look, please do so. And I want to also say that Nick is an installer partner for, or NP Environmental are an installer partner for Central New York's HeatSmart program, as well as HeatSmart.Sego. And I know some of you are joining this webinar from those territories as well. Okay, so we invite you and encourage you to get started with the HeatSmart program. And the way you do that is you enroll on our website, HeatSmartTompkins.org, or with the CNY website or HeatSmart.Sego's website if you're in those territories. There's also other HeatSmart programs around the state. And if your county is not covered by one of the HeatSmart programs, just give us a call and we can try to help you out as well. What enrolling does is it doesn't obligate you to anything. You fill out a short survey and you select one or more of our installer partners to contact you to assess your home for what they would propose to do and give you a price quote for that work. You can do one or all of our installers, so especially for a big heat pump installation, we definitely recommend getting more than one quote. Home assessments are free and there's no obligation to you. So whether you're ready to change out your heating system right now, or you just want some insulation or maybe a water heater, maybe you are thinking about what to do a few years from now, either way, the time to enroll is right now, and that starts a relationship between you and HeatSmart. And that means that Jonathan and I are here to help you navigate the process, or the HeatSmart directors for your area.